Hey everyone, and thanks for jumping back into the cryptoverse. Today we're going to talk about Cardano and its native token ADA, and for the first time we're going to be looking at some on-chain metrics. If you guys like the content, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Let's go for 125,000 subscribers. Give the video a thumbs up, and also check out the Telegram channel, which you can find a link to in the description below. In this video, we're going to be looking at things like the number of active addresses, the average transaction fee, and more. So hopefully this video is useful in understanding the markets from a slightly different perspective that we have not shown before. Let's go ahead and jump in. So the first chart shows the number of active addresses versus time, and this is on a logarithmic scale. And it's because of these types of on-chain metrics as to why I really am and remain bullish on Cardano. I mean, I was bullish at 2 cents and at 10 cents, and I'm still remain bullish at 90 cents, though obviously the risk is a lot higher today than it was just a year ago. But let's look at this and try to dig in and maybe understand a little bit more of what's going on. So the number of active addresses, and this is the number of addresses that have been moving Cardano within the last 24 hours, is going up fairly quickly. You can see that near the peak of the last run, we peaked at just over, say, 10 to the 4, okay, which is about 10,000. 10 to the 10 to the 2 would be 100, 1,000, 10,000. You can see we came up here to 20,000. Looks like we had a move up here. I'm not sure if this is a actual data point or maybe noise or something in the data, but around 20,000 or so was here in late 2017, and then we had this major move up in early 2018, if we can assume this is accurate. But regardless, it was more or less peaking around this point. What you notice, though, is that the peak of the active addresses peaked before the price. We know that price peaked over here, but the number of active addresses peaked earlier on in December. So that is something that is interesting, and maybe we could use this to our advantage this time as well if we see a definitive peak in the number of active addresses followed by a surge in the price without active addresses putting in new highs, then maybe that would be some indication that, okay, things need to cool off for a while. If we look at the average transaction fee, we're basically right where we were, obviously, right? Back in January of 2018, we're essentially right where we were 3 years ago. And if you look at the average transaction fee on a log scale, you can really see this nice W pattern that formed. And I guess this probably is just some noise in the data. Now, what's interesting is everyone's talking about the Ethereum transaction fees. If you plot the average transaction fee for ADA and overlay the one for Ethereum, you can see that the average transaction fee for ADA is about 2 orders of magnitude lower than it is for Ethereum. Okay, but if you look at the number of daily transactions, there's a couple orders of magnitude more daily transactions for Ethereum than ADA as well. But regardless, right now if you are trading and whatnot, the fees for Ethereum can get somewhat ridiculous. ADA can present a nice alternative. The main thing that ADA has to accomplish, I think, is to get people to actually build on it. I'm not going to sugarcoat things on this channel. I'll just tell you my honest opinion. ADA needs to do this, right? I mean, it needs to get more people using it, and I'm not saying it can't. I think they're on the way to doing exactly that. But until that happens, there's obviously going to be a lot of FUD put out about, okay, well, is anyone actually using ADA? And I don't think that ADA is going to overtake Ethereum's market cap by any means. I own more Ethereum than ADA. Again, I'll keep it real with everyone. But as I've always said, the narrative is what's important, and people buy narratives. That's what they buy. They buy narratives, because I guarantee you, most of the people in crypto don't have a clue as to what it does or why it's useful. All they care about is the price going up or not. Okay, let's just be honest. So with ADA, people need to start using it. I think more and more people, they need to get more developers on it. I'm not saying it can't happen. Obviously, there's news about Cardano in Africa and some other things coming out, but this is the primary obstacle that ADA has, and we'll ultimately see where things take us. Remember, I like to bet on people a lot of times. Charles seems like a person to get behind. And if you look at, say, the number of daily transactions for ADA, you can see it's well above its prior all-time high in terms of daily transactions back in late December of 2017. Now, what's interesting, and this just shows the price versus time. But what's interesting is if you plot the price of ADA on a linear scale and you color code it by the number of active addresses, we have so many more active addresses today than we did back over here. As you can see, if we scroll back, 10 to the 5, and we've come down recently, but around the 10 to the 5 versus 10 to the 4. But the price is still lower than it was back then. This is why I'm still bullish on ADA. One of the reasons is because I think this is still trending up. And more, there's more and more people are going to be using it. Another reason, too, is because Bitcoin's just gone crazy at this point. And barring some Bitcoin capitulation, hopefully there's another altcoin season where ADA can make another move, hopefully break $1.38 and higher. This shows the price versus time, color-coded by the number of active addresses, but on a log scale. So hopefully this provides another interesting perspective to see that we have more active addresses now than we did back over here, but we're at a lower price. Hopefully with a few more weeks, maybe this will change. Now again, this is not financial advice. A lot of this is contingent on Bitcoin not dumping. We want Bitcoin not to dump. If Bitcoin dumps, RIP to most of our altcoins for the short term. That's just likely what would happen, right? Price versus time, color-coded by the number of daily transactions, and here it is on a log scale. Again, you can see how we have more daily transactions today than we did back over here, and we're still at a lower price. Again, another reason why I'm bullish, and this shows the number. This is an interesting one. This shows the number of daily transactions versus time, color-coded by the price. You can see the price hit its highest levels after the peak. And it's turned red now, not because it necessarily means it's the peak, but just because it's the same price that it was over here, which was the peak. If the price were to go to, say, $2, it will then shift the entire color code and make these not as dark. So the peak for ADA last time, or at least this for our future local peak, not necessarily global peak, what it would be the short-term global peak at the very least, after, one indication could be after we see the number of daily transactions peak, and then if we see the price of ADA go up while the daily transactions have actually gone down, maybe that would be an indication that the local top and the new global top is in. And you can see right now the daily transactions are still going up, but if this ends up, if we end up not putting in higher numbers, and then let's say over the next month or so, this starts to come back down while the price goes up to, say, $2 or $3, that might be an indication that things are going to cool off for a while before ultimately, hopefully, continuing on up later in the cycle. If this continues to push up, if we continue pushing up on the number of daily transactions, then maybe that would be an indication that we're just kicking the can down the road and we have nothing but time. This is an interesting chart. This is not on-chain data. This is the price versus time, color-coded by the ADA Bitcoin valuation. You can see that even though we're nearing we're at levels that we were at the end of 2017, early 2018, we're still nowhere close to the ADA Bitcoin valuation that we reached back then. In fact, we're at ADA Bitcoin valuations that we were at over here. Isn't that interesting? Like back in the end of 2019, the end of 2018, early 2019, we're essentially at the same Bitcoin valuation that we were at way back over here. In this region, like in this yellow region. So maybe here, maybe some here. We're nowhere close to these up here. So my question is, again, I say this a lot, it's kind of a joke, but it's not really. Did you buy ADA in Texas, if this is the map of the United States? Did you buy it in Florida, maybe the Carolinas? Or are you FOMOing in Maine and hoping for the best? Okay, we show these charts, but none of this stuff is meant to get people to FOMO in. I'm very bullish on ADA because, as you guys know, I was buying it when it was a few pennies, okay? And I would very much benefit if it continued to trend much higher. However, FOMOing in at 90 cents is obviously riskier than buying over here in Texas and in Florida. Where were you buying? Were you buying in Texas, Florida? Maybe you were buying in California or Maine. You can see if you were, or not Maine, Washington. If you're buying in Washington, it obviously took a long time to regain, your investment. I hope we continue up into Canada. Maybe we'll go into Nova Scotia. The thing is you have to take risk into consideration. So if you are coming in now, I would say just be cautious because the market is getting overheated. And with Bitcoin where it is now, assuming it doesn't absolutely capitulate, we might see another ADA run, but just make sure you manage your risk appropriately. It was all fun and games over here because I was just aggressively accumulating, as you guys know. Things are getting crazy now. There's no way to know how high things will go. I hopefully a few bucks. We'll see what happens. None of this is financial advice, of course. If you guys like the content, make sure you subscribe to the channel, give the video a thumbs up. We also have the premium list into thecryptoverse.com. If you want a link to the altcoin season sell, check out the description below. As long as you don't cancel, you can lock in the lower rate. You get access to the weekly reports, the weekly videos, the risk dashboard, the Telegram alerts channel, the Telegram chat room, the trading view indicators, and more. So check it out, lock in the lower rate. That'll wrap it up for the video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Let's see where Cardano takes us. See you next time. Bye.